Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome again to a new lesson on Durusu العربية للناشئين. Today inshallah we're going to look at الدرس الثامن والعشرون, that is lesson 28, and the topic of this lesson is في المكتبة. في المكتبة means in the library. So here we have الحوار, that is the conversation, and this conversation is going to be between al-mushtari and al-ba'i'. Al-mushtari means the buyer, then al-ba'i' means the seller. So we have al-mushtari, the buyer. He said هذه عشرة ريالات. This means هذه عشرة ريالات means this is 10 riyals. So we have al-ba'i', the seller. He said ماذا تريد. This means what do you want. ماذا تريد, what do you want. So al-mushtari, the buyer, he responded and he said من فضلك أريد ورق كتابة. This means من فضلك, please. أريد, I want. ورق كتابة. So ورقة means leaves or papers, then kitaba means writing. أريد ورق كتابة, I want writing papers. So al-ba'i', the seller, he said هذا دفتر من الورق الأبيض. This means هذا دفتر, this notebook, من الورق الأبيض, is from white leaves. هذا دفتر من الورق الأبيض, this notebook is from white leaves. So we have al-mushtari, the buyer. He further said أريد بعض الحبر الأسود. This means أريد, I want. بعض, some. الحبر الأسود. Al-hibr means the ink, while al-aswad means the black. So al-hibr al-aswad means the black ink. أريد بعض الحبر الأسود, I want some black ink. So we have al-ba'i', the seller. He further said هذه زجاجة من الحبر الأسود. هذه زجاجة, this bottle. زجاجة means bottle. This bottle من الحبر الأسود is from the black ink. هذه زجاجة من الحبر الأسود, this bottle is from black ink. So we have al-mushtari, the buyer. Further said أريد أيضا طباشير أحمر. This means أريد, I want. So the alif in this أريد represent I. أريد, I want. أيضا, also. أريد أيضا, I want also. طباشير أحمر. طباشير means the chalks. That is the plural of طبشورة. طبشورة means chalk. Then طباشير is the plural, which is chalks. طباشير أحمر means red chalks. أريد أيضا طباشير أحمر, I want also red chalks. So we have al-ba'i', the seller. He said هذا صندوق من الطباشير الأحمر. This means هذا صندوق, this box, من الطباشير الأحمر, contains the red chalks. هذا صندوق من الطباشير الأحمر, this box contains the red chalks. So we have al-mushtari, the buyer. He further said عندك مجلة العربية. عندك means do you have. Then مجلة means the magazine, al-Arabi, that is the Arabic magazine. So when we say عندك مجلة العربية, this means do you have the Arabic magazine. Then al-ba'i', the seller, he responded and he said هذه مجلة العربية. This means this is the Arabic magazine. So we have al-ba'i', the seller, he said, وَمَاذَا تُرِيدُ أَيْضًا? وَمَاذَا تُرِيدُ أَيْضًا? This means, and what do you want also? So al-mushtari, the buyer, he said, أُرِيدُ بَاقِي الْفُلُوسَ مِنْ فَضْلِكَ. This means, أُرِيدُ, I want, بَاقِي الْفُلُوس. This means the remaining money, min fadlik, please. أريد باقي الفلوس من فضلك. I want the remaining money, please. So in other words, he's trying to say, I want the change, please. So in that case, you are going to say, أريد الصرف من فضلك. أريد الصرف من فضلك means, I want the change, please. So this is the end of the dialogue that is between al-mushtari, the buyer, and al-ba'i', the seller. So now let's look at some of the exercises that are below this dialogue. So the first exercise, here we have an instruction that says unzur ila surah. This means look at the picture, waqra al-jumal, and read the sentences. So here we have two groups of sentences. We have group 1, group alif, and group ba. So group alif, the first one says هذا صندوق أبيض. This means this is a white box. Sunduk means box, then أبيض means white. هذا صندوق أبيض. This is a white box. Then number 2 says هذا قلم أسود. This means this is a black pen. Aswad, black. Then we have هذا حبل أصفر. This means this is a yellow rope. حبل means rope. Then we have هذا مركب أحمر. This is a red ship. So مركب means a ship or boat. هذا مركب أحمر. This is a red ship. So we have هذا إبريق أزرق. This means this is a blue kettle. Azraq means blue. Then إبريق means kettle. So we have هذا دفتر أخضر. This means this is a green notebook. Daftar means a notebook. Then أخضر means green. So this is the alif part. Then we have the ba part. It says هذه ورقة بيضاء. This means this is a white leaf. So here the word بيضاء, that is the feminine form of أبيض. So when you want to refer to a feminine noun, we are going to use بيضاء instead of أبيض. So here we have ورقة as a feminine noun. So in that case we will say بيضاء instead of أبيض. So we have هذه ورقة بيضاء. This is a white leaf. So number 2 we have هذه سيارة سوداء. This is a black car. So سوداء is the feminine form of أسود. So here we are using سوداء instead of أسود because of سيارة is in feminine form. هذه حقيبة صفراء. This means this is a yellow bag. هذه تفاحة حمراء. This is a red apple. Then هذه نظارة زرقاء. This means this is a blue eyeglass. هذه شجرة خضراء. This is a green tree. So this is the end of the first exercise. So now let's move on to the next one. Here we have an instruction that says أجري الحوار المتسلسل. This means run the conversation serially كما في الأمثلة, as in the example. So here we have أنا أريد علبة ألوان. This means I want a packet of colors. وأنت, and you, ماذا تريد? What do you want? So we have أنا أريد زجاجة حبر. This means I want a bottle of ink. وأنت, and you, ماذا تريد? What do you want? أنا أريد مسطرة. I want a ruler. وأنت, and you, ماذا تريد? What do you want? So this is how you are going to do the exercise. So the next one will have خريطة. So in this case you are going to say أنا أريد خريطة. This means I want a map. وأنت, and you, ماذا تريد? What do you want? So number 4 we have مجلة. So in this case you are going to say أنا أريد مجلة. I want a magazine. وأنت, and you, ماذا تريد? What do you want? So this is how to carry out this exercise. So now let's move on to the next one. Here we have an instruction that says اكتب اللون في الفراغ. This means write the color in the empty space. So here we have هذا دفتر من الورق الأبيض. So here this is an example for us. So this means this notebook is of the white leaves. So here we have the white color. So number 2 we have هذه زجاجة من الحبر. So here we have the blue color. So in that case we are going to say هذه زجاجة من الحبر الأزرق. This bottle is of the blue ink. So number 3 we have هذا صندوق من التفاح الأصفر. This box is of the yellow apple. Then the next one we have هذه علبة من الشاي الأخضر. This means this sachet or this packet is of the green tea. So this is the end of the exercise. Now the next one we have أجب عن الأسئلة الآتية. This means answer the following questions. So these questions, they are questions that are relating to our previous passage. So number 1 we have أين البائع والمشتري. This means where is the seller and the buyer. So if you could remember, the seller and the buyer, they were both in the library. So in this case you are going to say البائع والمشتري في المكتبة. That the seller and the buyer, they are in the library. So number 2 says ما لون الحبر المطلوب. This means what is the color of the requested ink. So if you could remember, the color was the black color. So in this case you are going to say لون الحبر المطلوب هو الأسود. This means the requested color of the ink was the black. So the number 3 you have ما لون الطباشير. This means what is the color of the chalks. So the color of the chalks were red. So we are going to say لون الطباشير أحمر. That the color of the chalks are red. ما اسم المجلة المطلوبة. This means what is the name of the requested magazine. So the requested magazine was the Arabic magazine. So in this case you are going to say اسم المجلة المطلوبة مجلة العربي. This means the name of the requested magazine is the Arabic magazine. So this is how you are going to complete this exercise. So the next one says تكلم, speak. أجري الحوار كما في المثال. Run the conversation according to the example. So here we have علبة ألوان, that is the sachet of colors, and صندوق طباشير. Then صندوق طباشير, that is the chalk box. So number 1 we have ماذا تريد. What do you want? So in this case, as for علبة ألوان, you're going to say أريد علبة ألوان. I want the packet of colors. وأنت, and you. Then in this case you are going to use صندوق طباشير. Then you say أنا أريد صندوق طباشير. This means I want the chalk box. You see? So that is the example. So in the exercise number 1 we have صندوق تفاح, that is the apple box, and صندوق موز, the banana box. So as for صندوق تفاح, you are going to say ماذا تريد. What do you want? أريد صندوق تفاح. I want the apple box. وأنت, and you. Then as for صندوق موز, you are going to say أنا أريد صندوق موز. I want the banana box. So number 2 we have زجاجة حبر, that is the ink bottle. Then علبة أقلام, the pen packet. So as for زجاجة حبر, you are going to say ماذا تريد, what do you want? أريد زجاجة حبر, I want the ink bottle. وأنت, and you, then you say أريد علبة أقلام, I want the packet of colors. So this is how you are going to complete this exercise. So now let's move on to the last exercise. Here we have an instruction that says تكلم, speak. تكلم, speak. أجري الحوار كما في المثال, run the conversation according to the example. So here we have الدجاج, that is the chicken, and الفطير, the pie. So as for الدجاج, you are going to say ماذا تفضل, what do you prefer? Then أفضل الدجاجة, I prefer the chicken. وأنت, and you. Then as for الفطير, the pie, you are going to say أنا أفضل الفطيرة, this means I prefer the pie. So that is the example. So in the exercise number 1 we have al-fakiha, the fruit, and al-halwa, the sweet. So as for al-fakiha, you're going to say ماذا تفضل, what do you prefer? Then you say أفضل الفاكهة, I prefer the fruit. وأنت, and you. Then as for al-halwa, you say أنا أفضل الحلوى, I prefer the sweet. Number 2 we have al-alwanu al-ma'iyya, the watercolors, and al-alwanu az-zaytiyya, the oiled colors. So as for al-alwanu al-ma'iyya, you say ماذا تفضل, what do you prefer? أفضل الألوان المائية, I prefer the watercolors. وأنت, and you. Then you say أفضل الألوان الزيتية, I prefer the oiled colors. So this is how you are going to complete this exercise. So now let's move on to the next one. Here we have an instruction that says إملأ الفراغ بكلمة مناسبة, fill the empty spaces with the suitable word مستعينا بالصورة, with the aid of the picture. So number 1 we have يحتاج راشد إلى, then we have مسطرة. So in this case this means Rashid wants the ruler. ويحتاج عدنان إلى, so here we have the ink, that is al-hibr. ويحتاج عدنان إلى الحبر, that means and Adnan wants the ink. So the next one we have ذهب الطالب إلى المكتبة في الساعة الخامسة مساء. This means the student went to the library by 5 o'clock evening. So this is how you are going to complete this exercise. So now let's move on to the next one. We have an instruction that says رتب الكلمات, arrange the words لتصبح عبارة مفيدة, to become the meaningful sentences. So number 1 we have يفضل المائية الرسم الألوان مدرس. So in this case we are going to say مدرس الرسم يفضل الألوان المائية. This means the drawing teacher prefers the water colors. So number 2 we have al-aswad, zujajatun, al-hibri, هذه, and min. So in this case you are going to say هذه زجاجة من الحبر الأسود. This means this bottle contains the black ink. So this is how we are going to complete this exercise. So the next one we also have an instruction that says رتب العبارات, arrange the expressions لتصبح فقرة مفهومة, to become a meaningful paragraph. So the most suitable one to come first is يدخل راشد المكتبة. This means Rashid enters the library. Then ويطلب من البائع مسطرة, and he requested from the seller a ruler. Then البائع يقول, the seller says تفضل المسطرة, take the ruler. ويأخذ منه 10 ريالات, and he takes from him 10 riyal. So this is the arrangement of the sentences. So with this, we've come to the end of this lesson. We hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you in our next lesson. مع السلامة إلى اللقاء.